You staying warm out there, Colorado? Good afternoon, Colorado and the Rocky Mountain Mile High region. What is up? 3:30 Mountain Time. Orange and blue today. Cecil Lammey, Andrew Mason, hopefully right near the beach, hopefully not digging out of snow. I love when the weather forecast says like 3 to 5 inches and we have like a foot of snow here in Roxborough, but it's okay. It's what we're built for, right? It's Colorado, baby. And what are the Denver Broncos built for? What will they be built for this year and beyond? I mentioned yesterday and got quite a bit of reaction on Twitter. The most important thing ever when I said the timing for this is a little bit off, because by the time you fix the offensive line to do what Sean Payton wants to do and spread power concepts, Russell Wilson will be older and maybe in the backup portion of his career, even if he ever wants to do that. Some guys get to that point and they're like, I'm not going to hang around as some backup, but just go ahead and retire. Maybe Russell Wilson is at that point. But either way, what do you do? What can you do if you are the Denver Broncos? And how, in fact, do you stack up to the two teams that were in the Super Bowl? It is a high bar to compare yourself to, but I think it's a great examination of where the Broncos are at and where they need to go and how much work they need to do on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, you could say a lot of things about Kansas City's defense, right? Chris Jones, very rare talent. Some young players on that defense. A Justin Watson they got, who again I wanted in the draft. And he's not 6'4" and runs a 4.2, but he was 6'2" and ran like a 4.5. So yeah, I would have liked Justin Watson. I like corners that have that length that helps them with recovery speed. So Kansas City's defense, whatever, good pieces here and there. The Eagles defense, almost historic, 70 sacks. The record is 72, 16 games, I know, but we're talking about the mid-'80s Bears. And then there was a Vikings team, late 80s Vikings that did it, right? There was like Chris Dolman, memory serves. But anyway, so you had the Eagles defense. The Broncos defense can rank up there with those guys. Okay, now they're not perfect. They need to retain people. They need better help on the edge. There's a lot of things with this Broncos defense that we can say it's fine. It's not perfect, but it's definitely, top 10, whatever you want to say. If you want to be super fan, you can say they're top 5 defense. Oh, okay. Whatever. There's a couple of things that are deceptive about this defense. And this defense is strong, no doubt. This defense is the best part of the Broncos team, no doubt. But when you had an offense that couldn't score 20 points a game, did offenses really try to give you their best punch? Did you really see that effort? Really? And thus, did the Broncos defense truly get tested? It's a fair question. I don't think it's unfair at all. Now, when I ask this question, it doesn't mean the Broncos defense sucks. It just means like, yeah, their numbers are really good, but were they ever really tested? Because teams didn't really need to test them. So they're good at certain levels. Obviously, keep Draymond Jones. He's changed his tune about wanting to stay. Whereas in November, it just sounded like, well, I'm here now. It sounded like he didn't really want to stay. So, yes, the Broncos defense is the best part. I'm not really examining that part because I think there are certain players that you keep around. You try to keep a Draymond Jones, try to keep an Alex Singleton if you can, and he's fine. Okay, inside linebacker, they're never going to pay attention to. Okay, since Danny Trevathan left, and I've wanted multiple inside linebackers. I wanted a Zach Cunningham. I wanted a Devin Bush. Like that, I've lost count of how many inside linebackers that I've wanted the Broncos to take. They're just not going to. So I'm not going to, because, what's the barnyard psychology, right? How's that working out for you? I bang my head against the wall every single year about inside linebacker. They need to upgrade. They need to modernize their inside linebacker. And they are not. And they get an Alex Singleton. He's a tackling machine, and he can't cover. And whippersnappers and young boys, and like all these sorts of old timey sayings. Did that just get weird? Anyway, so instead of being old timey, the Broncos need to be more modern when they come to their inside linebacker position, and they're just not. So I'm sick of banging my head against the wall every single year for them to draft a real inside linebacker, a modern inside linebacker in this draft. Now, I say that Alex Singleton's fine. Bring him back. He's fine. Okay. I applaud the move when they made it because I know what Alex Singleton is. He's a special teams guy. He's a tackling machine. He can't cover. Okay. I would like a guy that can cover. That's just not going to happen. I thought Josie Jewel did a really good job, improved his game, continues to improve his game. And as I've always said, players can improve. Anytime you make an evaluation or a judgment, you also have to know, you must know that they can improve. Listen, I've said a million times, Montreal Washington can't play. He can make some plays, though. I bet if he gets coached up the right way. You think Dwayne Stukes and Nathaniel Hackett were coaching him right? No. So, how much improvement, all these sorts of things. That's what you have to look at. When I look at Josie Jewel, I see a player that's really improved his game in the asset or the aspect that he needed to most, and that was coverage. We all know Josie Jewel is shot out of a cannon against the run. We all know that Josie Jewel can do great things. We all know that Josie Jewel is, a leader, and he's tough and he's dedicated and he's motivated. Josie Jewel is, still somewhat limited in what he can do, but in what he has been able to do, you like what you've seen. You like what you've seen from Josie Jewel. You want to see it some more. And in order for that to happen, you continue to have him run the defense and coach him up and do great things with this defense. Josie Jewel to me isn't the replaceable one. Alexander Johnson was, and he got mad at me on Twitter. Like, who's saying that? Like, it was me, Alexander. You turn like a lumber truck in coverage, and like, that's no shame. It's who you are, man. Alex Singleton, I'm going to tell you, he can't cover. Does he get all upset and get on Twitter? Who's saying that? Me. I'm saying it. You can't cover. Because not only am I saying it, coaches that go against you are saying it. Because they know where they can attack the Broncos. And they can attack those Broncos linebackers. So, back to the barnyard psychology of Dr. Phil. Like, how's that working out for you? I can bang my head against the wall every year about upgrading inside linebacker, or I can say with some ice on my head, they're just not going to draft one. They just don't. It's not a priority for them. I wish it was. Whatever. You're going to deal with Josie Jewel, who has improved. I like what Josie Jewel has done, and you have to give him full credit for that. Limited player length has always been a problem for Josie Jewel. Speed has always been a problem for Josie Jewel. Coverage was a question mark when he came out of college. And he's not great in coverage, but he definitely has improved. He's definitely improved in using his mind, his head yet. There's a Looney Tunes reference for you. Like, he's using his mind to stay ahead of the play. He always has against the run. That was the nice thing about Josie Jewel. He's not going to be fooled by play action passing. You're not going to get him to bite on a play fake, and then there's a big gap behind him. And that's the beauty of football. Football is such a beautiful sport, and I love it so much because it's part, gladiator, part ballet, part chess. Like, football is a beautiful game. It's beautiful, man. Like, it's wonderful. Why do I always quote Snowball from Clerks? It's beautiful, man. But like, Josie Jewel wasn't one of those guys like you knew you could influence because you're going to show the ball. Here's the balls on the running back. And Josie Jewel's going to be like, I'm going for it. And then you pull it back and now it's a pass. And there's a big wide zone behind him. Josie Jewel doesn't do that. He's always used his head to stay ahead of the game. Josie Jewel is always using his intelligence as an asset as a run defender. Now we're seeing him use it in coverage as well. And not to say that he didn't as a young player, but as a young player, he was getting used to the speed and the discipline of the NFL. Everyone talks about the speed of the game. It's so different. We're in draft season, right? We're in Cecil season. It's the speed of the game. It's not the speed, it's the discipline. These guys have faced fast guys in college. It's not like you're in college and everybody's slow, right? Bunch of guys like me out there running around. Like, you're in college. These guys are fast. When you get to the NFL, it's discipline. It's grown men. It's paychecks. It's discipline. And it's that discipline, knowing how to set you up, where to set you up, crisp cuts, all these sorts of things that make the game seem faster because it is more well-oiled than in college football, where a lot of the times, like, go out, athlete that guy. You're the 5-star recruit. Go out athlete that guy, and you do it, and you're open, and it's touchdown. Like Josie Jewel got used to the discipline of this game, and now he's using his own discipline mentally to bait quarterbacks into bad throws. And I love to see it. I give full credit to a Josie Jewel. He could have been, Alex Singleton. And again, there's nothing wrong with Alex Singleton. It's just he can't cover. That's kind of important in a pass-happy league. So if you look now at what Jewel has done, he's fine. I'd still like another upgrade. It's not going to happen. So rather than do that and bang my head, I'm just going to leave it alone. And next, they need edge. Bad. You need secondary help. Bad. You could have helped yourself with a Jalen Watson and a Tariq Woolen and all that. And listen, Barney Mathis is fine. I know me and Mace have gone not necessarily round and round because I don't think there's a comparison of Tariq Woolen versus Barney Mathis. But I'm like, I liked the Mathis pick. I applauded the Mathis pick. I thought Mathis, after his first game, he learned the discipline. He learned it the hard way. Had some bad plays, but he didn't. Just like in college, what you saw with Barney Mathis is he doesn't let bad plays stick with him. And isn't that a message for all of us in everyday life? Like, hey, you got a bad day. Don't let it stick with you. Like, wash it off, move on. And you see that with Barney Mathis. He has that short memory. So I applaud the Barney Mathis pick. He's never going to be that talent level of a Tariq Woolen. He's never going to grow to be 6'4". I think he's done growing, and he's not going to run a 4.2. So again, back to the physical, whatever is whatever. But they still need help in the secondary. Ron Darby should be gone. Maybe you restructure him, whatever. Ron Darby's fine. Again, I feel like Alex Singleton. Like, we kind of know with Ron Darby, like, he's going to get hurt. He's never going to have interceptions. I remember when he was signed, and I think it was the COVID year, right? And so we're all standing around in our masks and everything and super socially distanced. And I remember going up to the microphone or whatever it was and asking Ron Darby, like, how do you turn those PBUs into interceptions? He's like, catch the ball. Thanks, Ron, for that incredible insight. So, and dating back to his college days, he was that guy. He was never an interception guy, ever. I haven't watched high school film on Ron Darby, but like, I remember in college, I was like, he's a PBU guy, and with proper coaching, he can turn those into interceptions. No, didn't happen. Now, again, players can improve. You're always looking for that. You're always looking forward to that. And not necessarily expecting that, but also not expecting him to stay the same. I think it's very important to note out there, like, when you look at these players, you're not going to say they're going to be the best ever, right? Because you're not going to get that sort of spin here. We're not the propaganda outlet. We're just going to tell you the truth. We're going to stay real positive because I think Broncos country, you deserve to be real positive. And again, people respond positively to positivity. So if your brand is being negative, one, you're a moron, and two, like, that's how you want to get attention. Like, I don't want to be get attention for being some sort of Pollyanna, like everything's fine, the sun's shining, it's beautiful in Broncos country. No, you guys are smart enough though, and that's where I feel the people that are that way, one, the team hints to them to be that way. But two, like, that's disingenuous. Like, we're gonna be fan, like you guys are a fan. Fans, especially Broncos fans that I've found, and listen, there's mouth breathers all over in every sort of fan base, but most Broncos fans that I run into are really smart about this game. They really love this game. They study this game and they understand this game. And because of that, I think it's disingenuous to the fan base to be like, everything's fine, it's okay, hey. And I think that, one, a lot of media and sports, maybe media in general, is just propaganda. And I refuse to be that because, again, you guys are smart. You're not some dumb fan base that's like, they said everything was okay, I think everything's okay. Like, no, there's a lot of things wrong with this team. And when I wrote about it at denversports.com about how far away are you from the Rams, from the Chiefs and the Eagles, how far away is this team offensively? Because defensively, I think they're fine. Again, edge. They need edge. You need edge. You need more edge. You got edge? We got plenty of edge. How about some more? Right? How about some more? Edge is always a need, and for this team, I think it's especially a need. The Randy Gregory thing was a bad signing, and here's the problem with George Payton. It's not just the missing in the draft. It's the missing in free agency as well. So when those who are more Pollyanna-ish and like everything's fine, it's okay, George Payton is great. Like, I'm going to tell you the truth. Like, I believe in George Payton's eye for talent. I've had enough conversations with him to like see through his eyes in a way. But there's this pressure of being a GM that I'm not sure he was ready for. He certainly wasn't used to it because he wasn't a GM before. But there's this added layer of pressure. And it's a reason why I'm just some slappy on the radio or podcast or YouTube or whatever you're watching me on Facebook. Shout out Facebook. Like, I don't have the pressure that a general manager has when you run a team and there's this added, like, everything you do is under the heat lamp or the microscope, whatever. Like, that adds pressure that I don't think George Payton was ready for or quite understood, even if he was assistant GM or whatever, because his moves, they haven't been real good. The Randy Gregory move was never going to work out. He was never played a full 16. I don't care about the weed. Okay. And it's not because I was singing Integrity Farms yesterday. I could give a damn. We're all adults. It's legal in Colorado, whatever. I'm not going to tell someone what to do with their private time. Like, I don't care. I don't care. Right. Before weed was legal in Colorado, I just wanted it to be legalized so all the stoners would shut the hell up. That's all. Like, please be quiet. Please. Can you please shut up? Please shut up. So like stuff. Oh, Step Brothers, right? Anyway, so the Randy Gregory thing was a bad signing because he's hurt. And he's never been that dominant. And he was never disciplined. He played in a check whoop ass scheme. And check whoop ass means just go get it. Just go after it. Just go after it. Just don't worry about discipline or playing against the run or worrying about coverage or anything. Just pin yours back. Go get the quarterback. No discipline. Go. Attack. That's Dan Quinn's style, and that's not the style of most anyone else in the league. Now, when he's healthy, he's good. It's not like Randy Gregory is some sort of slappy. You just gave too much money to a person who is hurt all the time. Why? Like, I understand you had a need at edge, but if you had taken care of business in the draft, you wouldn't have this need at edge. So you have created your own problem. And I guess this goes for all of us, right? In football and in life. Like, it's you. You did this. You created this. Now get out of it. Snap out of it. Moonstruck. Guess who watches a lot of movies? Anyway, like, if you're George Payton, you created your problem by not drafting properly at almost every position. And then you compound it by getting bad free agents. So defensively, I'm going to make the bold assumption that you're going to be fine, that the defense is legit enough. There's players that need to improve. Baron Browning has hit a ceiling. I love Baron Browning. He's my number 50 player a few years ago. Saw him at the Senior Bowl. Love Jonathan Cooper, but he's hit a ceiling. And hopefully with better coaching or different coaching or just more experience, they get more well-rounded in their game. They get sharper in what they do. I hope that's the case with those two because they're really good defenders, but they're good, not great. Can you get to that next step? The Broncos need great players. Justin Simmons is a great player. Josie Jewel, I believe, is a great player. It's, still maybe not the greatest in coverage, but like Josie has made such strides. You have to look at him as a leader and one of the great players on this defense. DJ Jones is a great player. That's a great pickup. K'Wan Williams, when he's healthy, and he's a little particular about his health, which is fine. I'm not going to call K'Wan a 100%er. And by 100%er, I mean this. Years ago, I first learned about being a 100%er I can't even remember which player it was. I want to say it was a Bengals running back. I was talking to a Bengals guy, and I think it was one of their old running backs. It wasn't like Rudy Johnson or something. I think it was after that. But anyway, and he's like, "Oh, he's 100%er," and I was like, "What does that mean?" And he goes, "He has to be 100% in order to play. Like if he doesn't feel 100%, he's not going to get out there, and he's not going to play well. But if he feels 100%, he's going to be damn good." And I wish I could remember that player, but like I feel similarly to K'Wan Williams. I don't necessarily say it as an insult. I really like K'Wan Williams. I think he's a great player when he's healthy. But man alive, he's a routine guy. So if something goes wrong with his routine during the week, and I mean like simple stuff in terms of training table or massages or cold tub therapy or whatever, if something is off with his week of preparation, he's not the same. So you have to manage that, which is fine. Everyone is different, and people are like rubber bands. Some are wound really tight, some are wound really loose. Some people you got to kick in the ass every day to get a half-ass effort from them. Some people you raise your voice to one time and it crushes them forever, even in football, where it's about overweight men and windbreakers yelling at you. But K1, I don't necessarily think is a 100%er. He's just real particular about how he prepares for the game, which is fine. It's just his way, as my grandmother would say. That's just his way. But he's a great player. So you've got great pieces on that defense. Offensively, you need the work. You need the offensive line. There is no doubt that anything you want to do, and on my article at denversports.com, when I looked at the offenses of the Eagles and the Chiefs, and I compared what the Broncos had, the only spot where the Broncos weren't number 3 was running back. And I believe they were number 1 at running back. Now, that's assuming, a large assumption, that Javonte Williams is healthy. Javonte Williams, my number 1 running back, the same year as Najee Harris. I don't think that's a bold take. I never do hot takes. I think hot take radio is stupid. I think hot takes in general are stupid. Have some forethought. Have some intelligence behind whatever your opinion is and be able to back it up. Hot takes are usually just like, just dumb to get clicks or to get views or to get people to comment or whatever. It's like they've reversed engineered all of our brains and they want us to either agree with something in an echo chamber or they want us to react to something that we disagree with. And I'm like, can I just talk about football? Do I have to do the stupid, like, there's no way Sean Payton should have been hired? Find out next on The Fan. Like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, that's not, again, it's not genuine. It's not authentic. And you guys are a lot smarter than that. I don't know why anybody would want to do that. Either way, getting off track. Well, back on track with this team. Javonte Williams, healthy. My number 1 running back when he came out. If he's healthy, and I don't think he ever will be the same. And I say that with great disappointment and great anger because he was never used the right way. The Melvin Gordon thing was just dumb. The Melvin Gordon thing is just like, it's bad on ways that people won't admit that it's bad. Like fans will say some stuff, but there's media members that'll be like, well, Melvin, and I give him credit. He'd answer the questions. But again, like George Payton, you put yourself here. I can't feel my arm. I'm ready to go, coach. Fumbles the ball. You did this. You did this to yourself. George Payton, this team sucks because you didn't draft well and you haven't picked up the best free agents. Some, but not all. Melvin Gordon, you fumble the ball all the damn time because you can't feel your arm. And you're still saying that you're okay to play because #reasons. Use of Javonte Williams has always been wrong. Always. The dude is Nick Chubb. And Nick Chubb, I consider to be the best running back in the league. Better than Jonathan Taylor, better than Derrick Henry. The best running back in the league is Nick Chubb. Javonte Williams is Nick Chubb when he's healthy, and he probably won't be the same ever again. So you'd better be ready. And it's more than Latavius Murray. I understand Latavius is a favorite of Sean Payton. I understand the fan base likes Latavius Murray as well. I like Latavius Murray. He is close to being the last player from the final Texas versus the Nation game. That was at a Dallas stadium, outside of Dallas, one of the one of the suburbs of Dallas. I can't remember the name. And it was at a high school stadium with a 3-story press box. I was like, wait a second. And I think the stadium costs like $30 million, something like that, for a high school stadium in Texas. All right. And then it had to be condemned. And they had to rebuild a bunch of stuff. But the final Texas versus the Nation game, I saw Latavius Murray. So I've known Latavius Murray since the Texas versus the Nation game. Like, I appreciate his game. He's also old. And I think he can last for a while. If you can say by halfway through the season, Javonte will be okay, I say, okay, Latavius, you're getting everything. Dash to Chase Edmonds, who might be their Alvin Kamara. I'm writing about that at denversports.com. Writing about their Alvin Kamara potential and who they need to look at. I'm also writing about, do they need a Taysom Hill? Do you think they need a Taysom Hill? I'm not so sure they do, but there's some players that'll, including the Denver Bronco that I talked to as they cleaned out their lockers, who they didn't re-sign to a futures deal, by the way. So he's out there available and actually lives right down the street. There's some Taysom Hill players you could get if you're the Broncos, if you think that. Anyway, denversports.com. Outside of that, you're third, obviously, and that's Javonte over Isaiah Pacheco, yes, over a Miles Sanders or a Boston Scott or a Kenneth Gainwell, and Jet McKinnon doing great things. Like, certainly appreciate Jet McKinnon, to be sure. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a mistake. Again, that was Pat Mahomes being like, I want that guy. I'm sorry, Pat Mahomes might be the best quarterback of this generation. He's not a scout. Shouldn't have drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Should have drafted Jonathan Taylor. The Chiefs wouldn't have ever lost a Super Bowl. They might have three-peated. Do I owe Pat Riley a quarter now? They might have three-peated 2 quarters if you had Jonathan Taylor as your running back instead of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I happen to enjoy LSU. Listen, I jumped off the CU bandwagon after like 15 years of them sucking because I loved them in the 90s, obviously, and a bunch of my friends like Big Al and Pritch and Chad Brown, they're all from that 90s CU Buffs team. So I jump off when it's just too awful. It's too horrible, right? Go to LSU. I appreciate LSU. I'm watching LSU. I'm watching Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm like, And then the Chiefs take him in the first round because Pat Mahomes wanted him. You should have wanted somebody else. Reminds me of Russell Wilson wanting Montreal, Washington. Yeah, Russ. Yeah, team 3. Go do your high knees. You're not a scout. You're not a scout. I understand. People, you're not a scout either. Okay. You got me. Build things the right way. Stop creating your own problems and start thinking about the future. The greatest general managers are constantly thinking ahead. And I think George Payton has been trying to stay competitive, but all he's done is dug himself a larger hole. And this is why his job is on the line. If anyone tells you differently, they're propagandists of the team. I don't want to be so succinct with that because I don't think things are there's always a gray area, right? But George Payton has put himself in this position with poor drafting and poor free agent additions. That's why his job's on the line. And if he doesn't do a much better job this year, then he's gone. That's the nature of this business. And that's the nature of Sean Payton. Sean Payton's going to burn at like 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. And you're going to have that arc. You're going to have that spark from Sean Payton. And it doesn't mean you work all the time or you don't go home or whatever. Poor Justin Outen. Like, I haven't even started my car. Like, that didn't do you any good. You guys stunk, by the way, during that stretch. Like, maybe you should go home. But Sean Payton's going to have that spark and that fire. If you're George Payton, you had better match that. And I'd like George Payton to have more go for it this year rather than safe and then take a chance based on what other people are telling him. Like, no, you should know better. Because if you don't know better, you're going to be a pro personnel scout or whatever. You're not going to be a general manager for much longer if you keep making these sort of decisions. And yes, that is the bottom line. So I didn't get to anything that I wanted to today. I blame the snow. I gotta go shovel some more. It's snowing again. Anyway, appreciate everyone out there. And I will get to more of the Broncos offensive needs. Make sure to check out denversports.com. Sign up for that Denver Sports Daily every single morning, hot and fresh to your email inbox. All the top Denver sports news right to you. It's the Denver Sports Daily. It's free. Remember, we don't have any paywall. It's denversports.com. We appreciate each and every one of you out there. Hopefully Mace is sipping on a Mai Tai or something next to the beach. I'm going to make some cocoa and I'm going to go shovel more. Anyway, be safe, be kind, know that you are appreciated. Stay tuned. And as always, I'd like you to please stay frosty.